Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever we are connecting from. My name is Armando Lacerda, and I'll be moderating the next session in our 24 hours of PASS. And we have Pinal Dave, our rescuer, a great blog author, and the presenter for the night today. I have a couple of slides to go through here with you, and then I will be transitioning to Pinal. So once again, welcome to our webinar. The topic for the next hour is SQL Server Performance Tuning Made Easy. So first, some words in here. If you require technical assistance, please type your questions into the question pane located on the right side of your screen, and I'll be assisting you there. I'll be looking into the questions and the chat window if you guys need any assistance. This question pane is also where you may ask questions throughout the presentation. Feel free to enter questions at any time, and once we get to the question answer portion of the session, I'll be reading these questions for the audience. Already spoke with Pinal before, and he will be making some short breaks as he presents his topics. So we may be reading questions as we go through the session as well. Please note that there will be a short evaluation at the end of the session. Your feedback is very important to us, so please take a moment and complete it. It's very important to learn where we can do better, and if you have done great as well. So please fill up the evaluation. The evaluation will pop up right after the webinar ends in the web browser. So just wait on your screen. The next one here, our sponsor. Events like that do not happen. They do not happen without a sponsor. So I'd like to present our sponsor, Quest. The stage of 24 hours of PASS would not be possible without their generous support, and they are the reason this event is available free of charge. So thank you, Quest. Please check them out. Browse their website. PASS is a global non-profit association where data professionals connect, share, and learn. So join PASS. It's a free registration action, so you can go ahead and if you're not a PASS member yet, just browse the website and create an account there for you. And it gives access to hundreds of hours of free online content, live virtual and in-person events. The ability to join local groups in your area and the opportunity to attend the annual conference, the PASS Summit. PASS is a great way to connect with like-minded professionals, increase your technical expertise, and grow your career. As a personal note in here, I've been a member of PASS since its inception back in 1999 in the first PASS Summit down in Chicago. And I would not survive or would have a real hard time to survive the SQL ecosystem without all the tools and the support we find in the PASS community. So I highly recommend you, if you're not connected yet, to connect. So Pinal is our presenter for the next hour. This 24-hour PASS is presented by Pinal Dave. Pinal is a SQL Server performance tuning expert, and I can attest for that. I have used the resources he shares for free on his website on the internet, and he's also an independent consultant. He has authored 11 SQL Server database books. I haven't read all of them, so I have some catch up to do. 21 Pluralsight courses, and has written over 4,200 articles in the database technology of his on its blog at blog.sqlauthority.com. Along with 16 plus years of hands-on experience, he holds a Master's of Science degree and a number of database certifications. So with that in mind, I think this is a second run of the same slides deck. We have questions later at the end. So without any further ado, I will switch to Pinal. Pinal, you have the stage and the mic.
All right, then. I think fantastic. Thank you, Armando, for giving us this opportunity to just talk. Thank you for this kind introduction. This is fantastic. Hey, everybody, this is pretty late for some people, and some people are just caught up. So you know what? I think it's all fine. But I'm fantastic. I'm super happy that you guys stayed up and want to talk to me. And today we are going to talk about SQL Server performance tuning made easy. And this presentation is very, very close to my heart because whatever we are going to talk about is going to be super simple. I don't want to talk about anything complicated. Matter of the fact, you go out and people talk about performance tuning is hard. I look at them and I said, is it so? Performance tuning is not hard at all. It's super simple as well. And that's exactly what I am going to show today. This is the agenda which we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are going to talk about statistics, cardinality, compatibility level, automatic tuning, all these things. But you know what? Let's directly jump to demonstration because theory, I'm sure you can know how to Google yourself, you know how to go to MSDN and can read it yourself. So I'm going to leave the theory part on you. Doing it yourself, we'll definitely cover the theory as and when we need it. But right now, what we need to do is some fun demonstration, and that's what I am totally geared for. And I want your support. So please go ahead and type in any question at any point of time you would have it. And I have talked to Alejandro that he would interrupt me half the session, even though I'm speaking, and he will ask question on your behalf. We will definitely answer questions at the end of the session. But you know what? I personally like to get interrupted because that is the right thing to do. If you have a question right now for anything, you ask right away. You can just go and subscribe for 3 of the performance tuning scripts, one of very, very popular offering of mine. You can just go to this URL, take a screenshot of the screen and just put your email address. And after you confirm it, you'll get few of the performance tuning scripts. So go ahead, ask question if you want to ask, but I think I'm done with the slide. With this, we'll not see any more slides for rest of the minutes, rest of the time, only demonstration, which I want to do. All right, then, and with this, we'll start with my very favorite demonstration. This is how I would like to start. A lot of people think performance tuning is hard, and I want to say it's really, really, really not hard. One of the things which bothers me when I go for performance tuning consultation, just yesterday, I even had the same thing. I got in, logged in into system of the customer. And as soon as I log in, the first thing first, which I see, they have issue. And their issue is their system is running slow. I asked them, I said, all right, I see your system is running slow. Anything you want to say? They said, oh no, it was fine beginning. Now it's running slow. Can you go and look at something up? And I said, sure. I started to look into it, and first thing first, what I spotted is I'm going to show you today. It's about statistics. So you know what? There is a lot of ancient knowledge. There is a lot of expired information. A lot of people believe that, okay, what they believe, I'm going to show you. But before I show you, I am going to show you a demonstration. Let's see the demo. And then after we talk about what people believe, what should be the right thing to do and how we can overcome, right? So absolutely, session is recorded and you can watch it as many times you guys want it. Now, what I'm going to do is first thing first, I am going to create 2 databases. This is how we create database, don't we? Well, we should specify some additional parameters and things, but you know what? I'm just going to pretend this is the regular world and this is how it is. And I am just going to create 2 database. One of the database is named called status on, and another database I'm going to call a status off. I created them successfully, and now these are the 2 very, very important property which I am going to talk about. One of them is auto create and one of them is auto update. For one database, I'm leaving it on. And for second database, I'm leaving them off. It is right now in front of you, and I just did that. So if you want to validate, okay, let me go here, refresh. Yeah, this annoys me a bit because, in a SQL Server Management Studio, it doesn't auto refresh. I wish it auto refresh, but hey, that's okay. So now right click over here, go to properties. And when you go to properties, under the option, you can clearly see here are the settings which I am actually talking about. That is auto create statistics, and there is the right below that called auto update statistics. So these are the two settings which I was actually talking about. And if you cannot see it properly, I'm going to zoom it for you. Look at these two settings which I am talking about. Oh, this is auto create statistics and this is auto update statistics. Now I notice at my customer place, they are set to off like this. I looked in and I asked them, I said, why it is off? They said, well, there is a reason for it. And their senior DBA kept on explaining me for 20 minutes. I have to listen, right? Because I get hired to help them out. And kind of sometimes you are hired to listen them. Just, in a real world consultation, everything is not perfect. You cannot show off your knowledge or anything. Sometimes you just have to hear, just like being doctor. Like as soon as we walk into the doctor's office, doctors probably know what is wrong with us because they see us, they talk us, they check few things, but then they hear you very carefully asking you, what's happening to you? And you keep on going for 10-15 minutes, and after that doctor said, from listening you, this is what I think same way with SQL Server. When I go for health check, when I need to help people, my duty is to hear them. I listen in 20 minutes, but what his story was, everything runs slow. Well, let me show you why and what is going on in your system. So what I'm going to do in those two database, I'm going to create a table and create one cluster and non-cluster index, and then populate certain amount of the data. I just did that. This is not important, so I'm not going to talk too much. What is important is what I am going to show you next. So now I have two query and I'm going to show you execution plan. All the perfectionists who are watching this going to say execution plan is not everything, it's not perfect. Well, for you, I am going to do this. So I'm just showing you right now. So this is what we will be doing. One thing is IO and second thing is time. Right? So I have done that for perfectionists. So now you guys just wait till I explain everybody. And then after I will come back to this particular point. First, we will understand everything with execution plan. And now let me just run this one and see the performance between the two query. If both of these query are performing exactly same, if their performance is same, they will give us 50-50 percentage. Let's see that over here. And now I have same result. It has to be same, isn't it? Now you can see very, very clearly from the result set. Whoa, this is 37. That is good. This is 63. That is not good. So if you compare both of them, I can definitely tell you this query is taking way more resources to perform the same thing. Here you can see there is a seek along with the key lookup, but here there is just plain scan. This is because there are no statistics available. Remember, both of them have exactly same structure of the query. Both of them has the same indexes on of them. Both of them has same data. Everything same. Even though there is index over here, SQL Server is not using that index. This is because SQL Server does not have a statistics. There is a small warning over here. Let me just mouse over there and look at this. Oh, SQL Server itself is telling you there is no index. SQL Server knows there is no index and it cannot create that index for you. It cannot use that index for you. And that's why you are getting poor performance. SQL Server have to read every single row and to get you data over here. Now, look at one more thing. This is for all those perfectionists sitting outside and saying like, I wish he shows me this. Here it is, logical read for the database where I have left the statistics on, which is 22. And for a second case, it's a 55. Pretty much it's reading the entire table in this case. And over here, that's just doing just pretty fast, right? Look at this 22. Now, here is what I want to just talk to you for a second. What is right now happening over here? The way the statistics works is that statistics are actually heart of the SQL Server. They are the one actually which tells SQL Server what kind of execution plan you should be building. Now, if you just go by like old school way and turn it off, well, SQL Server for entire day will use all the older execution plan and which might affect your performance. So I strongly suggest if you have left off like this and you are guys going to say, you know what, we have to leave it off because, you know, in the year 1998, when we have enabled this one, we had this problem. I'm sure you faced a problem. No, you guys cannot make out make up stories like that. I'm very, very sure maybe you might have faced the problem with this setting when year 2002 also, or maybe 4. But you know what? All these are 10 years old stories. If you are going to base any of this thing from your earlier experience, years back, you know, don't do that. Because look at this. These two settings, when it is on, they immediately update and tell SQL Server Engine what execution plan you should be using, all the indexes you should be getting. So are you okay for entire day to get poor performance? Or you just leave this one on. When it is on, it generates little bit IO, and IO is not as bad, just so you guys know. It is just as good as one scan. So remember, for entire day, you will be scanning your entire table hundreds of times, or you just leave this setting on and your data and table will be scanned once, but you will get pretty good performance. Why would you not do that? I strongly suggest you guys do that. This is just one of the very, very fundamental tip which I like to share with people. I went to my customer and I said, you know, and again, we are right now talking with a very little data. I want to show you very quickly. I'm going to add one more row over here, one additional 0. So it's not one row, guys. You know that, right? I mean, I can't count, but I'm sure you guys can count better than me. I executed this one, and now it's going to take some time because so much data is being inserted. Data insert has happened. Now let me run this and show you. Remember, previously you didn't see much of the performance difference, but now if I go in execution plan, I can clearly tell you when there is no statistics, entire table is going to scan, and you're going to definitely going to get poor performance. SQL Server is telling you to create index. This is where I want you to pay attention. SQL Server is telling you, go ahead, buddy, create the index. And your argument should be, I have already created that index. I have that index. How come your SQL Server is not using, even though there is an index, SQL Server is not evaluating all this thing? It's because you left the statistic off, because 20 years ago, when you left it on and there was huge update during the day, your system collapsed. 20 years ago, yeah, modern hardware, all the changes which we are seeing, now all these things are no longer true as it used to be true. That's just one of the tips. There are so many things I'm going to cover, so I'm gonna keep going away. And one of the 2 questions I receive on a Twitter. Okay, thank you guys for using Twitter. I love Twitter. I have a second screen where I'm watching that, and I think person asked me. So my Twitter handle is Pinal the way. I think you caught it from my PPT PowerPoint. Yeah, you want to ask anything on a Twitter, you can do that also. And also you can also post it on the chat window, because my friend Alejandro is gonna to ask. So the question which I received, let me answer that, and then I would make sure I pause for a moment and ask the question. So question which I received was, this is excellent question. Okay, actually I tell everybody every question is excellent. That's what I tell, so you feel confident. Okay, now look at this one. So question was, auto create statistic true, I should do that. Auto update statistic, I should do that. But what about this baby, which is known as auto update statistics asynchronously? I'll tell you this. What it actually means is that SQL Server will go and eventually update the statistics behind the scene when it finds a time, and when there is an algorithm, you can go and read online. Should we leave it on or off? I'll tell you this way. I do performance tuning consultation for living. Over 400 of my customers out there. For not a single one, when I left it on or off, it has really make a difference that I actually can hit the ball out of the park. It never bring me to the end line. It never make me race to end. So leave it on if you want. Leave it off if you want. You know what? I think it's okay. Just do anything you want. I don't think so it's going to make a bigger difference. It is definitely something, but if to answer your question, this is not going to make like earth-shattering changes right now in front of us. So Alejandro, now question to you. Anything you want to ask from the question bin? Otherwise, I am going to go to a next demo. A lot of fun stuff to cover.
Nope, there are no questions here on the pile. I think they prefer to send you the Twitter.
Oh yeah, I think that is fine too, guys. Ask me in a Twitter also, direct messages if you don't want to if you feel shy, or if you're watching this recording, you know what? Write it to me. You know, go to blog.sqlauthority.com, drop an email. I love to talk to people when I'm not doing consultation, and consultation is not everything. You know, people are everything, and just love. I love the energy of the when I connect with the people. So good. I'm going to show you another thing. So yesterday's story, I'm going to continue. So I went to this and I said, I enabled this thing. And suddenly my customer was like, whoa, boom, the system was running extremely slow. They have a lot of IO read, and continuously when they measure it, their IO was read continuously, very, very high. And it has to be because they didn't had the statistics updated. And because of statistics update, when it was not there, their IO was so huge because of all the reading which were being done. Now we fixed this one, and suddenly their IO was like running like this, and as a sudden drop, whoop, it fall down. I think entire company felt a little crazy because their IO went down. He said, "What happened? What happened?" And I was like, "Oh, we just updated the statistics. I mean, that's it, nothing much." But after updating statistic, there was another problem with my customer, and their CPU was constantly running around 90%. They are very much worried. They said, "Oh, you fix IO, but now what should we do? Now we don't have to upgrade IO. We have more money. Can we go and upgrade CPU?" And I was like, you can. See, more hardware you want to add it, go ahead, add it. You have money, insert it. See, this is like a SQL server or any of the databases are actually ATM machine. They don't give you money back. They just take your money. You just put your $100 bill. It's gonna to take it inside. It's gonna to go. Yeah. So I always keep $100 bill with me because I don't know when my SQL server would need it. Anyway, coming to the point, I said, let's look at it. I look at that thing because I said, what is actually going on? He said, last year, when we were in a 2012, everything was fine. But we upgraded to better hardware, better operating system, everything good, and we even hired a new DBA, but still we are getting poor performance. I said, okay, did you? He said, we changed pretty much everything. I said, well, try to change the DBA one more time. Maybe you will get better performance. No, I didn't say that. That was the guy who hired me. I can't just insult him. But that was truth. I think his DBA didn't do the good job. Performance tuning is way more simpler than we all like. I like to believe. I think people just hyped it. People just said, we need a 10 days training or years of experience for performance tuning. I think you can learn it in a 4 hours. It's performance tuning, and you can do pretty good job. Okay, so one of the setting which they had off, I'm going to show you that next setting right now, and that is called compatibility level. My favorite setting. They upgraded from SQL Server 2012, and their system had this older compatibility level. And now I'm going to show you how you can change this compatibility level and get better performance. For example, setting 110 is for 2012, setting 120, which is for 2014, and similarly 130 is for 2016. And I am going to run all of these three together, and let's see the performance, how SQL Server improves across the version. I will also show you how this setting works in SQL Server Management Studio. But before that, I am going to show you. So now we have three results. Let's pay attention to this compatibility level setting. You can see the first query takes 93% and the rest of the query is taking 3%. And please note that is out of the box store procedure, which we have just one setting makes tremendous improvement in a performance. In the earlier version of SQL Server, it decided I'm going to do merge join. It has two different indexes, gonna to order them and gonna to mix them. In newer version of SQL Server said, I'm going to do nested loop because that is optimal. You can see that right now. And that is why we are getting a better performance in a later version of the SQL Server. So when you upgrade your compatibility level, there are good chance you will get a better performance. And I will show you where this setting is and how you should do it. There is a small warning associated to it. So if you are watching right now and going to do it on your production system, do it at your own risk. It's okay to do it, but just watch this once, hear my warning once, and then you guys do it. I'll tell you a story. So setting is actually over here under options section. You can see the compatibility level. For this SQL Server, you can tell, hey, even though you are latest version of the SQL Server, I want your brain to be in an older version. Remember the older movie Matrix, if you're old enough to remember that one. Yeah. So metrics. The guy said, do you know how to drive your helicopter? He said, no, I don't. They insert a chip and suddenly said, now I do. Exactly like that. When you change this particular setting from one version to another one version to another version, and one, then SQL Server actually behaves like that version. So now you upgrade it to later hardware, better things, better operating system. But if you leave this one to older one, you are going to get the performance how you got it in 2012. Yeah, SQL Server is going to use older brain with a new hardware. Now you just think about thing. Anything you buy a brand new, are you going to use an older algorithm for it? You should definitely upgrade it as you upgrade your SQL Server. This setting is usually set to the previous version, so you do not see any unexpected changes. If you leave it on an older one, SQL Server team has just done it. So when you upgrade, when you upgrade for 2012, it will stay to 2012. And it's your responsibility to test your system on a development system and upgrade it to the latest version directly. You don't have to go step by step. Whatever is the latest version of SQL Server, you should upgrade it after doing a proper test on your development system. There is a small warning here is that if there is any code in a SQL Server which is breaking changes, which Microsoft would have removed it, that would break. But you know what? Knowing Microsoft, I don't think so. They remove things that easy. There are so many things which I'm still using for 2000 and their mark is deprecated or deleted, and they do not change it. And I think it's a good one way. Maybe code management is difficult for them, but you know what? That's not our responsibility. And Microsoft like to introduce new features. Like for example, in the latest version of what I'm showing you right now, everything in the latest version of the SQL Server Management Studio and SQL Server, you can see Microsoft recently introduced this miscellaneous section. It's a brand new. I don't know where it showed up. There was a miscellaneous, and now we have miscellaneous. Interesting. Two of them are here. I don't know what they are for. Actually, I think this is bug. Maybe in the next version of SQL Server, they will fix it. But somehow things like this has slipped out. So yeah, things like that works. I mean, Microsoft is just building a software. There are people like us who are working there, and sometimes things like this happens. Yeah, so definitely make sure you upgrade your compatibility after doing a proper checking on a development system. And being honest, you know what? Just talk about it. Let's talk about it. Do you even have a development system? Most of us do not have a development system, and many of them are just doing right away everything on a production system. I tell them, hey, do you want to take few more minutes and then run it? So nah, we just do it now. So do you want to take approval of your boss? My boss, we don't have to tell him. If I tell him I have to take approval and explain him, but knowing him, if I have to explain him, this is a bigger challenge. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do. And everybody loved this thing in their career. It's like, I'm going to apologize afterwards, but let me just do it. Let me be brave and do it. Good job. I love people like you who take a risk and just right away do things. I have changed this compatibility setting for over 300 plus of my customer. Not a single time we face any problem. There was the only time when we face a problem when somebody was using one of the CLR thing, which was very, very old, and CLR was referring some kind of code, and that had the issue. I'm not CLR expert. I don't know. But that happened when we upgraded from 2000 to all the way to 2016. That's a one time in my entire life I face issue. Otherwise, I just go upgrade and boom, it works. It definitely clears the cache and you get a better performance out of the system. Yeah, things like that. That's what I'm saying. As soon as we changed this for my customer yesterday and their CPU was like, boom, down. As soon as my CPU came down, they look at me and said, wow, we don't have to now do CPU. We don't have to upgrade with CPU. I said, no, don't we have to do it for IO? I said, no. And then they all looked at me and said, now fix our memory. Oh, that's something I cannot do. SQL Server has only one bad habit. And that habit is, if SQL Server takes the memory, it's going to hold it forever. It's never going to release it back to you. That is why SQL, it's a memory hungry thing. It will take a memory and will store it inside. And it will store all the data into memory. So you will ask them, hey, SQL Server, you have taken this memory? Yes. Are you going to release it back? No. Are you going to use it? No. Are you going to do anything with this memory which you are occupied and not using it? No. Can you give it back to me? No. Yeah, that's what SQL Server does. Yeah, Yeah, that's true. That's why it is very, very critical that we make sure the proper memory settings are there for your system, and that is how it is. So yeah, I think this is what I want to talk about. The things, there are a few more things I'm going to go talk about it, which is enhancement in a 2017, which are also amazing and beautiful. So yeah, there are memory settings. I see a lot of people nowadays getting this one right. What about this and what about this? You know, there is a world out there, and there is a lot of advice. Don't read everything you read on the internet, but don't stop reading also, because you don't know what is right and wrong. Yeah, so these are the things. There are a few more things I'm going to talk about, but before I take a break and take a question, I would just tell you, yeah, this kind of thing like SQL Server performance tuning is super easy. You really do not have to know all this kind of join. Lot of people, lot of myth out, what kind of index to be used, how to create the right index, is the missing index DMV accurate, is the unused index DMV what we need to have it, or is it something, what should we do, how do we know which query is using the maximum memory? Can you go and tune it? How do we need to even write queries to identify that which database is using more CPU? How do we identify who is real culprit, who has a higher page read? But sometimes, like a lot of people say, I always look at query which is doing a lot of reads. Well, good. That is a problem? Probably not, right? Sometimes your queries, you are reading all this data, and that's perfectly legitimate. You need to have a right kind of balance. You are doing all this read. Are you providing proper amount of the CPU, or is the CPU is out of proportion? Or is CPU running so much and you are only doing 5-page read? See, all these parameters we need to evaluate. As a DBA, it's our responsibility. As a developer, it's our responsibility. We do the right amount of the coding. We write a code which is good for the indexes, and we create the indexes which is what is perfectly needed for the query. All this science and symbiosis we have to learn. So if you are actually, so SQL Pass does amazing job bringing all of us together. So watch other sessions. This session is recorded. There are other sessions recorded. So much free stuff available on the website. And also, if you are going to be there on a November in a SQL Pass Summit, join us. I have a pre-conference where I'm going to talk about 21 scripts like this thing. So if you just look at it, so this is a SQL Pass website. I have also a presentation about 21 essential script about jumpstart performance tuning things for DBS. So we can talk about it. I can give you the 21 essential scripts which you can take, run it for your system. And even though I says level 100, it's pretty much for every single reason. Like, how do you make sure your system runs awesome and amazingly fast? Yeah, there is a science, but science is much more simple than you guys think. So if you are in a SQL Pass, join me, or matter of the fact, join any of the pre-conference. Just do not stop learning about this one. And if you want to know more about this thing, write an email to me and I would be happy to talk to you. But make sure and remember, whenever we meet, just shake hands, because you know what? I just thrive on people's energy. I love talking to you guys, if you know. And now, before I move to my favorite next demo, I want to stop and ask my friend if there is any other question.
Yeah, I got 3 questions here for you.
Fantastic.
So, let me read this right. Gopika Rajan. He asked about the statistics settings. So the question is, if we use statistics on, doesn't it affect the performance anymore when we have update statements?
So that's exactly the point. So that's what I was trying to tell you. When you leave the statistics update on, so okay, forget about it. Remember the statement where we say, if we train our employees and if they leave, somebody asks, what happens if we do not train and they stay, right? It's exactly like that. So what happens if we do not update statistics and there is a large update happens? Well, when the large update happens, every single subsequent queries will now have a poor performance, or all the subsequent queries will have a potential to give us poor performance. Why to leave with that? If you update the status, you updated the data. And now when first of all, statistics update fires when 10% of the change happens in a data. So if the 10% of data you have changed it, don't you want to have a latest update? If you are running a movie theater, if 10 people are inside the room and now more 10 people go in, don't you want to update your statistic? There are 20 people. You can't keep on selling the same tickets again and again. Update statistic is the heart of your execution plan, how you run your business. it does not negatively impact performance. Matter of the fact, it's just a small, whatever you updated, SQL Server will go and read that in the large table once. It's better than 100 scans you might face it in a future. Update statistics to your heart. If you do not do it, and if you get a poor performance, you invited it. Next
Cool.
question.
Next one. So this is from Sakib Mahmoud.
Right.
Here we go. If we were to change the compatibility level up to a later version, could we push it back down to the original level, or would be the case for restoring the backup?
Fantastic question. That's what actually I love this question. Hey buddy, you are very right what you just said. And you know what? I am going to show this one. Look at this demonstration right now which we have in front of us. And right now I have running this query. I'm running this query at compatibility 130, right? Look at this. The query ran at 130. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right below it and I'm going to change it to earlier version, which is 110. I can easily do that, and SQL Server will also immediately change the behavior. You do not have to restore the data. Look at that. I changed the compatibility and I immediately decided to lose the performance. You can do that. This is very safe. You do not have to restore it. If you upgrade it, if you move it up, and due to any reason your boss comes and says, oh, wrong decision, you should have asked me. Just change it back. Said, I never change it. And it's fine. No corruption. No issue. Just fine. Nobody has to know about this thing except your heart. Yeah. So next.
All right. Third one. Is adaptive query process is foolproof? Setting this may backfire.
I would like to not answer this question right now because the next demonstration I'm going to show you is about that only. So how about this? Good question. I am not going to answer you now, and I am rather going to show you about adaptive joins. What actually you asked, what you wanted to really ask is about automatic tuning. Is it so? If automatic tuning, your question about that, you just clarify in the question window. Or are you asking about adaptive join? If you're talking about adaptive join, I will tell you, it's beautiful. I'm going to show you this now, adaptive join, and then while you clarify your question. So we still have a 22 minute in this presentation. Yeah, join me in one of the webcasts and we talk about all this thing in a detail. My goal is to just give you guys back as much as it is. If you ever see any of my training going on free or anything, just join. We'll talk about this thing. Write an email to me. I welcome. And if you have not got it so far that I like to talk to you, I think you are wrong, man. Okay, let's see the adaptive join while you clarify your question. Was it about adaptive join or automatic tuning? What I'm going to do is I am going to run this query for you. Remember, adaptive join will only work if you have set your compatibility level to 2017. If you set it to the earlier version, what I'm going to show you now, it will not work. So let's see all of three together and see how it works with the SQL Server 2017 adaptive join. I enable the execution plan and three queries are ran in front of me. The first query runs for SQL Server 2014, 16, and then after 17. Look at the performance of all the three query. I can show you right now. Adaptive join is a beautiful thing. Look at the version 1 of the SQL Server. When in a 2014, okay, a lot of people say, we are using 2014. Good, you're using 2014. Because we are using 2014, we are getting a good performance. I usually ask people, I said, why that is kind of thing, right? People always talk about that they get a better performance when they upgrade this kind of thing. I'm like, why you're thinking so? Well, SQL Server team, didn't they upgrade the compatibility level in a 2014? Yes, they of course upgraded in 2014. So am I going to get a better performance in a 2014? Well, you can see right now in your screen, which is it. SQL Server in 2014 uses actually merge join, and merge join somehow is the most optical thing because in a 2016 they converted that to a hash join, even though both are inner join. But in a 2017 it is adaptive join. Is it good? Good question, isn't it? I see same performance as this. Maybe is it adaptive join merge join? Or is it hash join? I don't know. Let me mouse over. You can see it is actually a nested loop. Microsoft initially estimated that I might use the hash join because that is what I think is optimal. But after inspecting data, it decided I'm going to do a nested loop. That's called adaptive join. It's a pretty accurate. So my 21 customer has upgraded so far to 2017. We go out and do various performance tuning exercise with them. I can tell you out of 21, not a single one has complained about adaptive join. They have found adaptive join gives them better performance. And now you want to see where adaptive join does very, very good? Let me show you. Now these are the things, right? So these are the things people do not know. When you leave your compatibility level to earlier version, and you have invested your money and time in a 2017, you do not get all this goodness. So when I went to customer and I changed the compatibility level, suddenly the CPU dropped, the IO dropped, and we were getting a fabulous performance out of this query. Matter of the fact, they asked me, now fix the memory. I was like, yeah, I'm going to show you that memory part. Hold tight, all of you, hold tight in your seat. I'm going to also fix memory. Yep, I am back. So look at this query which we have seen. Now I have commented out one of the parameter and I'm specifying a different parameter, and you can see what happens. Execution plan, the first one on the top, you can see 48, then 26, and then after another one is also 26. And this time you can see this remains merge, this remains hash, and look at this. There, if you notice it, actual join type. If you look at it, actual join type over here, that is hash match. SQL Server automatically fixed it for you. SQL Server said, this time hash has to work. Adaptive join, beautiful, love it. And look at the memory point. There is a small warning here. Don't you guys see it? Yeah, there is a memory issue. So what it's saying, excessive grant memory. SQL Server is giving way more memory to this particular query. I think it's not good because it is giving a 47, if you look at megabyte, and SQL Server say, thank you for giving me 47 megabyte. I only need 168 KB. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. Same here in a 2016. Oh, you're giving me 62 megabyte. I need only 896. But you have more, enjoy. SQL Server is not thinking. What happens? Multiple queries like this run in parallel. Then you will have unnecessary memory pressure. You run this 100 of this query and you will have unnecessary pressure on this particular query. So when you have 100 query running parallel, SQL Server will keep on giving more memory, more memory, more memory. Yeah, memory is cheap, disk is cheap, CPU is cheap, but they are not infinite. They're not abundance. Eventually, you're gonna hit some kind of limit or you just go upgrade it. And now I'm going to show you what happens in a SQL Server latest version when you have a right amount of the compatibility. Trust me on this. When I went and changed it for my customer, he was just flat out like, oh, I wish I knew this one. So I set it to 130 and I will show you now execution plan. There is a warning still. I'll run it again and you will see there is a still warning. I'll run it again. There's a still warning and SQL Server is not getting it. SQL Server should have got it that I am every single time taking more memory. Maybe I should give a less amount of the memory. But now you just change, see how when I change compatibility level, the magic happens. Look at this. I ran this query. SQL Server says, oh, I am taking 62 gigabyte. I only needed 896. Good job. Let me run it again. Oh, done. Issue's gone. 2017 with the right amount of the compatibility. Now SQL Server, this query from almost second or third run will always take the right amount of the settings. Yeah, so that's my point. Memory pressure for my customer went down. There, as I said, there are so many little tricks. You don't have to change anything. SQL Server has out of the box built fantastic thing for us, and it's just us who do not use it. So yeah, welcome. Just talk to me. I would, if you are coming to SQL Pass, welcome to attend this session. If you're not coming, I would be happy to share details also with you guys, and we can talk about this kind of thing. I love to share, and I'm going to make sure that each of you who are watching right now or watching recording, I'll share as much as I can. That's a promise from me. Anyway, This is the thing. This is how the memory, and this is how beautifully you can do. So yeah, okay, going back to my friend, and I want to know any questions so far, or if the guy even clarified what he was asking Armando.
Hey, yeah, cool. Yeah, and
No?
that question was from Anaswamy, and he
Okay.
did post three more questions. But before, there is a question from Peter Hung, and the question
Yes.
is, do we still need to set up updated statistics under the maintenance plan wizard while we enable auto-updated statistics in the database?
So sometimes overdoing things doesn't hurt, but sometimes doing too much also hurts. If I have left these two settings enabled, I would just no more set every night to run that in a maintenance plan. I would update once a week or once a 15 days kind of thing. Matter of the fact, I even do not schedule index maintenance in my customer, because index maintenance has a bigger problem than you guys think. Right now, we have that thing set up in our mind that when there is high fragmentation, we have to rebuild index or reorganize things on those two numbers which was write down on the internet, and that become a gospel, that become a truth. In fragmentation was one thing at an earlier point of time. Now it's no longer an issue. Matter of the fact, fragmentation is just fine now. It's not really reducing the performance as much as you like to think. I stop rebuilding indexes for my customer. Now I do once a month, and most of the time, every night or once a week, we update the statistics, because update statistic is more important than rebuild the indexes. And matter of the fact, when you rebuild indexes, SQL Server removes every single cache from the system too. So if I go and right now says DBCC free proc cache, everybody will like, don't do this on a production, it's dangerous. You will all shout, but you are the same guy who will go and rebuild index comfortably. It does the same thing. It removes the cache for every single table where it rebuilds the indexes. You will just do the same thing and you will be okay. So my point is, to answer you, is it okay to update statistics every night? Go ahead and do it. But if you're rebuilding indexes every night, I think let's have a conversation. I would be happy to talk to you about that. So next question.
All right. The next one here is not actually a question; it's like a statement, and perhaps he just wants to know if you agree or not. So here he goes. Updated statistics takes IO time. Do you have to go for sample or full scan? You have to go either for sample or full scan. What about column statistics which are not updated in rebuild index, where only index statistics updated?
I think I think if you can paste it in the chat, I would like to read this, because it talks about statistics IO, and it also talks about update statistics. I think there is multiple things there. I would tell you full update, right? I'll tell you this way: if you're updating your statistics full scan, that's the best. If you do partially, that's okay too. I prefer a full scan actually, because that then you have a best possible algorithm. Because I don't like to rebuild indexes, right? When you rebuild indexes, what actually does it's why people think after rebuilding indexing they are getting better performance, not because of fragmentation. Matter of the fact, it has done the statistics update with a full scan. That's why you are getting a better performance. So update with the full scan, that's my preference. And I did not understand the second part, so you can just write in the chat. Yeah, I'm just reading it right now. What about columns which are not updated in rebuild? Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why you need to update the statistics in night for entire system. So there are certain columns where the statistic doesn't get updated, and when you update manually at that time on a table, it takes care of it. So definitely it's a good idea to run it once and frequently. But if you have left your two statements, update statistics and auto create, then for those columns, it will be also automatically taken care of. So if you leave those two statistics on, as I demonstrated, for every single statistics automatically when needed with the best possible algorithm, SQL Server will do it. So it reduces the burden on us to think and plan all this thing. Leave it on, and for any column wherever statistics are needed, that will be created and updated when there is a 10% change in a latest version, and when there is a 20% change in a table in a previous version of the SQL Server. So leave it on and don't worry too much. There is other
All
things you
right.
can do. Yes.
All right. Two more questions.
Sure.
So how this is from NSWM again. So how SQL Server decide to go for loop, merge, or hash join?
Oh,
Is the
this is a
number of rows or pages are considered for physical join?
Absolutely. SQL Server decides what amount of the what kind of data you are getting from the both of sides the table or three side of the table or whatever tables, how many you have. Based on a number of the table, what is the output and what kind of join you have. Do you have equality join, unequality join, and based on that, SQL Server decide what kind of join it has to take. Matter of the fact, it's a science. I used to teach this for entire day initially, that how you can learn about joins, but I now stop teaching about internals and things because those things definitely matter, but let's learn the first thing, which is outside. A lot of people do not do the practical stuff. They do not change the compatibility level and they fail. And this is the one setting I can tell you on this screen. There are so many settings which we need to talk about it, which can give you instance performance, but we just ignore them. We just don't care about it. So here is my point of view. Please understand that SQL Server has a lot of settings which we need to make sure they are no longer default, and we set them in such a way we get best possible performance. So yeah, so those kind of thing about, yes, definitely to answer you, it matters on a number of the page on a table, number of the page in the join we are using, and number of rows and how they are place if the data is sorted or not as a final outcome what we need. Based on a many parameters, SQL Server decides which is the best possible join and will use it, the loop, a merge, or hash. So we can definitely have an in-depth conversation. I have many demos related to that, and I would be happy to show you if we go like this one where we show query wins, hints, and how each of the join changes and things. But some other time when I will come, I would be happy to talk about this for a day. But thank you, great question. Next one, sir.
All right, Peter Hung, thank you for your answer about the updated statistics. The next question is, I think you have answered this one already. There is a warning also in the adaptive join in execution plan. What is this? And you have already shown that it corrects itself. So let's jump to the next one. What are your thoughts on the indexes recommended by Query Store?
Oh, index is recommended by Query Store. That is okay. I'll tell you this. There's recommendations which you get from the missing index script, which is outside. They are not accurate. They are 50% of time accurate. Use them as a starter point. I can show you just a second ago, right? There was an index in our statistics. SQL Server was continuously recommending it, but it will keep on recommending this index, even though I would have this index on my SQL Server. I already had this index on first name, right? But SQL Server will keep on recommending that. The reason is very, very simple, because SQL Server thinks this is index needed. So SQL Server follows certain kind of statistics. The missing index script, there is a dynamic management view, which is absolutely not accurate. They are extremely confusing. There is a really science. Use that script. So if you directly take the missing index recommendation and create your stuff, you are going to make a big mistake. I can tell you, you are in a big trouble. There is a sign, but not many people know about it. So to people who doesn't know the story behind the scene, they'll say use it directly. But I can tell you this: take this as a starting point. Take that as a starter of the restaurant. When you go in a restaurant, sometimes we just order starter. We see if the food is good, then we go to the next level. Similarly here, take that script as a starter, and based on that, decide which column has to be first in the index and which not. That science is amazing and beautiful. So do not take that as it is. Make sure you use your intelligence. If you have any further question, send me email pinal@sqlauthority.com, and I will point you to a couple of resources where you can go and read how the index recommendation things really works behind the scene, and we can talk about it afterwards. And there is a science behind it, and I would be happy to come back someday and we'll talk about that science. Any more questions?
Yeah, we got 4 more here. They're popping up at the end.
Right,
So the
that's
next
good
one
actually.
Yeah, yes, it is. So the next one is kind of a statement. Perhaps the Ranjit just wants to see if you agree or not. So compatibility level will be set automatically as per the SQL Server version.
If you create new database, maybe. Otherwise, if you upgrade the database, it will take for the previous version. This is a science. You need to do it yourself. You need to go for every single database and check it. If your model database is a previous compatibility level, all the new database might be also generated with the older compatibility level. You just have to update it yourself. You need to make sure it is updated to the latest one, and make sure you have tested it before you go and change it. But by default, if you have not messed up with your SQL Server, you not change anything, when you create new database, it will be latest. But when you upgrade the database, it will be for the previous version.
Right. On that same topic, when we restore a database from the previous SQL version, then only we need to do is to change the compatibility level. Is that right?
I wish I can say it's right. Buddy, that's the primary first thing you will do. That's the first thing you need to do. When you change your home, first thing you do is change your address. But address changing is not something only thing you need to do. You need to take a new admission for the kids. You need to make sure the gas connection is there. You need to make sure that there is a proper electricity billing is generated, and you need to make sure you have internet at home. Similarly, first thing, definitely compatibility level. But after that, there's a long story you need to do. There's a long thing.
Yeah. I
I
think with the
just cannot
time we,
imagine I can answer right now. Yeah.
yeah, I think the time we have this next one also you have to postpone it. So the question from Ranjit is, what are cluster index, non-cluster index, and filtered index?
Cluster index is data order, the table order. Non-cluster index is just a copy of it. And filter index is just even shorter copy of the original data. So I would be happy to talk about it. But this is a question I think we need to start from Google. Yes. If I do indexing session, I'd be happy to come and talk about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Or just connect to me offline. Yeah, we talk about it. But today we have only 3 minutes left, so I want to make sure if there are other questions which I can answer in a minute, I would answer. So thank you, my friend. Sorry I couldn't go into detail, but there are other sessions and other videos out which covers them in a detail, and you can watch them for hours or day.
Yeah, he's okay with that. He thanks you.
Yeah.
Next one is, what is the performance impact of using index hints?
Greatest possible question I can receive it for today. Index hints are amazing thing, and I am going to show you the entire demo for you there, Dinka.
Hey,
You
Pinal,
lucky man.
just a reminder for you, Pinal, we have 2 minutes.
Get it. And the demo will be done in a 10 seconds. So I'll tell you, index hint, this is how people specify the index hint. And sometimes we just love to specify the index hint. And we think, oh, I specify the index hint. Oh, good job. Yeah, I specify the index hint. And then SQL Server will give us better performance. Well, it's not the case all the time. Sometimes index hints don't give you the performance which you want. And we will see that once this query is completed. So meanwhile, let's go to the next question while this demo runs for you.
The next question is
done. No, done. So in a 10
okay.
second, we will be done. Let's see these 3 queries together. I'm going to comment. I'm going to take the same query and we're going to paste it right below it. Here you can see I am running this query. I have a ID column over here. When I run this one, I can clearly see that SQL Server is doing a scan instead of using my index on ID. I can clearly believe I have a where condition on ID. I should use my index. If I use index hint, see what happens. Query is done and done. And you can see index hint can kill your performance. If you have ever used index hint in your business, your query performance most probably will show like this thing, and you definitely need consultant like me. You need to hire us. This is the time when you hire us. If you used it, more money for me. Next question.
Yeah, we have less than 1 minute. We have like 3 questions in here, so I don't think we have time for that. And Eric is asking you, don't forget to show the next slides.
Yes.
So we mail you the questions later so you can connect with the guys.
Right, or ask, yeah, that's a fantastic thing. So yeah, guys, my email address is pinal@sqlauthority.com. Definitely, please reach out to me. You know, this is my email address. Write to me, talk to me in a Twitter. You guys are very active on a Twitter. And most important thing, I would be looking forward to meet you guys at SQL Pass, not at SQL Pass. Let's meet somewhere else. There are local chapters, volunteer things, lot of online things. So thank you for attending. You can learn more from me. And with this, I'm going to hand over to my friend, Armando and Eric. Thank you guys for attending.
All right, thank you. That was a great session, Pinal, and of course, it exceeded my expectations. I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, so the next session is coming. Is actually starting right now with Simon Whitley talking about the modern data warehousing and the Lambda architecture in Azure. So great pleasure to have you guys around. And again, you can connect with Pinal by tweeting him the questions we didn't have time to answer in here, and he will also receive the queue, the questions queue we have throughout the session. Have a good day, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and we see you in the next event. Thank you again, Pinal.
Very much. Bye, everybody.